Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 45th ever episode of the Best Phone Plans Podcast. I'm Stetson.
And I'm Dennis.
And in this episode, we're talking about Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. Now that the embargo has lifted, we can talk all about it. And we've got some great news for T-Mobile home internet customers with a potential leaked new 5G gateway coming soon. Dennis, let's go ahead and dive right into it. First of all, how are you doing today?
You know I'm always doing good, Stetson.
That's great to hear. I'm glad to hear that, Dennis. This is Monday, October 25th when we're recording this. And yeah, you want to just dive into Pixel 6 and 6 Pro and how that's been going?
Yeah, I do. I want to hear what your feedback has been so far.
Yeah, so I've been using this device since last week, Wednesday. I got it the day after the event. And I will say I've been using the 6 Pro. It's been really, really nice. Like, this feels like a flagship phone. Very similar in size, Dennis, to your S20 Plus, the S21 Plus, that kind of, it's a big phone. Like, it's a huge phone. Screen has been great, 120 hertz refresh rate, software, it's Android, it's super nice. I've been testing the modem. Okay, so this is using a Samsung modem for its cellular performance. My guess is that Apple and Samsung combined have ordered all available like X60, X65 modems from Qualcomm. So that's why I think they went with Samsung here. Plus, I'm pretty sure Samsung actually manufactured the Tensor processor, so it just made sense from a partnership perspective. So cellular performance actually very good. I put it head to head. It held up really well against the X60 modem. Performed neck and neck in a lot of tests. There was some dips in performance. I want to say it was maybe a little bit lower on maybe N41 and millimeter wave. This was probably the biggest surprise to me. I'll have to double check, but I was getting 2 times the cellular performance on iPhone 13 than I was on the Pixel 6 Pro and millimeter wave. And this particular site, Dennis, I hit over 4 gigabits per second on iPhone, and Pixel 6 Pro was hovering around like 2.5 gigabits per second. Like, monster difference. But that's also like edge case scenario. Not many people are going to be on millimeter wave, but overall, I've been really happy.
That's still really interesting, nonetheless.
Right?
I mean, even the iPhone 12 Pro Max, when I was doing my testing in Pittsburgh, was able to hit like 3.8 gigabits per second, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it was weird. I think the S20 did really well on that site as well. But yeah, otherwise, I was really happy. Like, it's not a disappointment. You'll get fast speeds. My bigger disappointment was actually with the regular Pixel 6. In fact, that they basically made a separate millimeter wave model, which is exclusively for Verizon and AT&T customers. That's a disappointment to me, but if you're getting the Pro, you're getting everything. And from a cellular perspective, this phone delivers.
How has the battery life been?
For me, it's been, I don't know. It's hard for me to tell because I've been using it at like max brightness and running nonstop speed tests on it. So I feel like it's not really.
I mean, that's a great test, right? I mean,
I guess. I mean, it's just a little different than I think how I would normally use the phone. It's been good. It does die for me in about a day from my speed test lifestyle. Like, I went out yesterday, I was speed testing. I did Verizon low band, I did AT&T low band, and end of the day, like, I woke up this morning expecting to have some juice. It was dead, so I had to charge it up.
And how's the new camera been?
I honestly haven't taken too many photos. I was under embargo, so I couldn't have shared them anyway. And I was just like focusing hardcore on speed testing. I watched Mr. Who's the Boss's video just to like educate myself for this show. And what I want to communicate to the audience is that photo performance is great. It's what you'd expect from Google. It's outstanding. It's sharp. It's a 4 times telephoto camera lens. So you're getting great zoom. The ultra wide could be a little bit wider and is noticeably weaker of the sensors, but otherwise it's fantastic. Right on par with your iPhone 13, your Galaxy S21, whatever. Video performance is still a red flag. Like, I would not purchase this device if you're looking to make YouTube videos or do a lot of video creation. It's still very much weaker than your iPhone in that regard.
That's a real shame.
And one more thing, I don't think anyone's been talking about this, so I don't know if it's just me, my device, the fingerprint reader on this, noticeably worse. Like, borderline, I would not use it bad. Samsung, I mean, you probably know, Dennis, Samsung, you can literally kind of like smash your thumb down and lift it up pretty quickly, like boom, boom, and you're good. This is a good, like, see if I can do it on camera. Boom. Oh, I missed it. Boom. Like it's a very long time to read their fingerprint. That's been my biggest disappointment so far.
Well, I don't know if you saw the Geekbench scores, but what I found interesting is that the hard numbers, as far as like a benchmark goes, is that the thing performs worse than an old A 12 chip
Yeah,
from
and you
Apple.
said that's like from 3 years old. Do you know what iPhone that was launched in?
That would have been like iPhone XS or
Let me
X.
see if I can pull it up. It's excuse me, 64-bit. It first appeared in the iPhone XS. Yeah, good call. And the 2019 version of the iPad Air and iPad Mini. So it's old. That is, like you said, like 3 years old.
Yeah, so that was
2018.
like, I know that's not like in the grand scheme of things. Like, I know that's not the actual reason why this SoC was developed, but on the same token of things, even though optimization is a beautiful thing, Apple has shown that, I still think it's rather a little bit disappointing to a certain extent that
It
that
doesn't feel slow. That's what I'll say while I'm using it.
right, and that's thanks to software and optimization. But I feel like one of the big focuses for this is, photography, right?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest weaknesses on Android has always been video recording. It's never been still shots. It was video recording, right? I feel like having that extra computational power would have been quite behooving to Google to enable them to do more with video processing, since it's a much more intensive task, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, to their credit, they did talk about it in the keynote where they're saying the new Tensor chip is enabling HDR video, where they're doing extra processing on the video to make it look better. To your point, though, it's not on iPhone level, and Apple just has like monstrous amount of headroom in that department for their video processing. I mean, that's how they're able to pull off the cinematic mode and get like, it's not great, but it's way better than Samsung's implementation, that sort of portrait video mode.
Right. And then there's also another aspect we're not talking about. Not that much for ours but care, but what about the gaming aspect and other third-party apps that just aren't optimized? Like,
Yeah.
having that extra headroom for, say, Snapchat on Android might be very behooving, because Snapchat has notoriously been an app that runs pretty
Well,
horrendously on
they
Android.
did do a partnership. I can't remember. I honestly kind of zoned out during the presentation, but there is a partnership. I think Snapchat is using the native cameras as opposed to taking screenshots of the camera viewfinder, which I think is great. And you can activate it, I think, with like a double tap on the rear of the device. So it's pretty good for Snapchat, is what I will say.
My more so point was not the improvements that they made on using the native camera, but that Snapchat has notoriously been an app that's not been well optimized for Android
Yeah.
users.
Yeah. And I will say the Pro model I have does have 12 gigs of RAM, whereas the regular 6, you're getting 8 gigs of RAM. So something to keep in mind for sure.
Which both are incredible amounts of RAM for a phone. I mean,
yeah, it's weird. Like, this now has almost as much RAM as my previous laptop. Actually, it's got more RAM than my PC. My PC is 8 gigs.
It literally has more RAM than the base MacBook Air and MacBook Pro 13-inch.
Oh my God, I have one of those. It's got more RAM than my MacBook Air. That's nuts. It's nuts to me that this is on a phone. Like, this is just normal too.
Right. So. And in all sincerity, I mean, it works for Android because of how Android does RAM management, but in all sincerity, it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah. Yeah, as I said earlier, this phone, it feels fast. The fingerprint reader feels slow, but the user experience feels fast. The 120 hertz is beautiful. Software is great with Android.
That's what's making it feel fast. That 120 hertz.
Yeah, 120 hertz software optimizations. That's all you need. Like, this is screaming.
Yeah, that's what's making it feel fast. And I know, again, I get big picture of what Google was going for with this, with the battery focus and being as efficient as possible. That's the approach they took. I just hope that maybe for the following year, we might see a bigger emphasis on focusing on like hard performance improvements, just so that it enables app developers to do more. Because here's the thing you got to remember, Stetson. App developers always develop their apps for the lowest common denominator because they want their app to work on the most things possible. And historically speaking, Google's phones have sort of always been like the benchmark of like, here are some cool ideas that you can try on Android, right? Like think about the Nexus lineup, right, and what it inspired, and then think of the Pixels, right? It's always been the area for this is what Androids could be. So it's not great if Google's flagship phone from a hard performance standpoint is behind other OEMs like Samsung, because it means that when future apps get developed, it's going to be being developed with this tech in mind versus like the really cool bleeding edge stuff, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like even Apple, who is not necessarily known for being the king of innovation, makes a conscientious effort to ensure that all their different phones that come out that year are using like pretty much the same modernized chipset, right?
yeah.
Let's look back at iPhone 11 series, right? Even the iPhone SE was packing that sweet
I
A13
think yeah,
Bionic at the
A13,
time,
yeah.
right? So iPhone SE had it, iPhone 11 had it, iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max all had that same awesome piece of silicon in its body, right? And it enabled it so that app developers would develop around that iteration of things, and everything just kind of worked across the board. It was simplistic and there was
Gotcha.
headroom. And then when it came to long-term support, software support, which is something Google has been promising, right? You wanted to have
Yeah.
headroom for the longevity of major Android updates, right? Because if they're going to try to I think they said 3 years, right? Is
Yeah,
what
so
they're
I'm a little bummed. So it's only 3 years of Android software updates, which is, I guess, pretty good in the Android landscape, but it's 5 years of security updates. So you're getting the security patches you need. I've been really impressed coming from iPhone. Like Apple software update support is just insane. It's going back 5 years, 6 years in some cases. So it's good for Android, and I hope that future Pixels can be even better.
right. And the thing I was going to go to though is that having the most power possible today is going to be especially important 3 years from now
Yeah.
if we're talking about features. Now I know Apple's guilty of removing certain things just because it's not
Yeah,
feasible,
it's true.
but trying to have foresight and limit that a little bit, I feel like is important because in my eyes, Tensor Core is great. I'm not saying it's not great, but it's not even current in certain
Sure.
areas.
I mean, you do have to keep in mind they've been developing it for 3 years. So I think we'll kind of see the ramp up. Like they figured out how to build it this year. They executed on it. Next year, they have all this past knowledge. So they can kind of bring it up to a higher tier level. And I guess to Google's credit, like they did put the exact same processor in the Pixel 6 and the 6 Pro. So from a lineup standpoint, the phones are identical. It's really just their processor in some performance categories is a little bit behind because it's been in development for so long. And I think we saw this with Microsoft and their Surface Duo. That device, the initial one, was it took so long in development, they were stuck with hardware that was like 1 or 2 years old by the time it actually launched.
Refinement's what needs to happen. Like I said, for a first crack at
Their
the
first
plate,
chip, yeah.
it's decent, but or the whole package as a phone is great. The
I
chip
think the
itself is
value here, like, what do you think of the prices? Now, like, we've seen the phone, the reviews are coming out. What do you think of the $600 and the $900 price points? Like, it's undercutting the $1,000 flagships, and it's actually $100 less than what the Pixel 5 launched for.
I think that these price numbers aren't necessarily accurate because AT&T and Verizon are charging $100 more on their base model.
That's true.
And I feel like in this era of 5G, if you're going to be getting a 5G capable phone, those are the ones that you want,
Yeah.
right? And also, just worth mentioning, that's 2 of the 3 carriers, which most people are going to be buying their phones through their carrier anyway. So I feel like it's more accurate to say 700 and 1,000, right?
Sure.
Um, as far as those prices go, I don't think they're horrible, but I don't think they're necessarily exceptional either. Like Samsung right now, the S21 can be had for relatively affordable because of all the active promotion that's been going on, especially with Black Friday around the corner.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Samsung discounted their phone like the week after it came out. I was so bummed that I paid full price for mine.
And if we're comparing like the S21, specifically like the Ultra
Yeah.
or the or like the Plus version to the Pixel 6 Pro, I feel like the Samsung is still the better option, and it wasn't even Samsung's strongest here at bat here. Like, like I still feel like they're better flagships. I'm using quotation marks on this flagships than what the Pixel 6 Pro is offering. Um, with some caveats. I mean, if you like stock Android, then Pixels are great, right? But
Yeah,
like if we're thinking about camera, for example, right, which is what Pixel's supposed to be known for, I would actually argue that the Samsung phones have better cameras.
sure.
Especially if we're talking about from a video performance standpoint,
Yeah,
specifically.
I could probably see that for sure.
Like Samsung does a pretty decent job, still worse than Apple, but a pretty decent job when it comes to video recording. There's also the concept of the screen.
Yeah,
Samsung has
that's
the
I'll
Samsung
just
has
I'll quickly just touch on this. Like the rounded sides on the 6 Pro, like there's a reason Samsung stopped doing this. And it's because it doesn't look good, in my opinion, because the two sides of the phone, the left and right sides of the screen, have this like shadow on them. There are different colors.
forget not looking good. All the false touches.
Yeah, I actually didn't have too many, so I'm happy to say that wasn't an issue for me. But the flat display, I think, is still the better option, which is thankfully what the regular Pixel 6 does. But for the Pro, wish they had done that as well.
But aside from the curves, I mean, just Samsung panels as a whole are like the god tier of the industry, right? Like
Yeah,
that is a great panel. Don't get me wrong; I'm sure it looks beautiful. But like if we're again, we're talking flagship realm. Samsung has the displays down. You touched on the fingerprint reader.
yeah,
Samsung
Samsung
has the
way
bit of
better.
fingerprint
Maybe
reader.
it's just my model. I haven't seen other people talking about it, but I would easily go Samsung just for that.
Um, also, I mean, it's worth mentioning, but Snapdragon 888 has significantly better graphics than the Mali GPU that's inside that tensor. It's just a fact that it has much better graphics performance, and if you're someone that does game on your phone, Samsung, right? Um, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a Samsung fanboy by any stretch of means. Like I said, Samsung had a pretty rough year this year, especially when we're talking about the stock supply constraints as well
Yeah,
when it comes to phones. But if we're talking value, especially with what you could realistically get the Samsung phone for, especially when we're talking about trade-in deals and everything else that's going on, I don't know if the Google Pixel 6 Pro is
I
actually
mean,
that
you
great of a value.
can, Google is running trade-in deals with the different carriers, so I feel like that's almost the different. If you're doing full price, I think for most people, Pixel 6 is a really great option, especially coming in at less than the S21 Ultra is coming in at $1,200. The fact that you can get this for $900, I think is a really good option. So it definitely comes down to, like you mentioned, what your priorities are, what you're looking for. If you're looking for video and you're an Android fan, maybe going with that S21 lineup is going to be a better option. I think if you're really into photography, I honestly am loving what the Pixel's been doing based on what I've seen online.
The $700 Pixel is good value. I'm just trying to say the Pro
Yeah.
is not good value.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, what's crazy is it's $300 more than the regular Pixel 6, and all you're getting is that periscope, 4x telephoto, bigger screen, bigger battery. That's kind of a given, and millimeter wave. But yeah, I think for me, the sweet spot, I think, is that $700 Pixel 6 from Verizon. That's what I personally would try and purchase. Unfortunately, it is like the Verizon variant, so you got to I think, use it on Verizon for 60 days or something before you can take it elsewhere. But yeah, either way, I think of the phones Google has released, this is clearly their take at a more premium device. I think it's showing, at least in my opinion, in the build and design, and makes me excited for Pixel 7 as well, like how they're going to compete. And I'm curious to hear like how this device sells and what other consumers think of it.
Before we change gears, I just want to take a hot take as someone that daily drives a Galaxy S20 Plus.
Yeah,
I think this was the year for Apple. Out of all the phones that came out this year, I think iPhone 13
sure.
is the best phone
Wow,
that
I'm,
came out
I'm
this year.
surprised to actually hear you say that. What do you think makes iPhone 13 like what gives this kind of the year for Apple?
Well, in part, Android didn't have any really good phones that came out. Good is the wrong word, but this wasn't the year for Android phones, basically, is what I'm getting at. Like Samsung kind of like tiptoed over themselves and in my opinion in some areas downgraded from what they were known for. And Google Pixel is great, but it's late into the cycle at this point. iPhone 13 was a refinement year to fix a lot of the issues the 12 series had. Specifically, the things that I stepped away, or the things that they did that stepped away from, were the best battery life I've seen on a phone to date, specifically with the Pro. They finally added the high refresh rate screen, which was a huge thing. Cameras got improved again, but that doesn't necessarily care to me. But the biggest thing is iOS is finally not holding back the iPhone like it normally does. They have truly made iOS something that's actually useful and less of a pain in the butt to deal with. for an Android lover like myself. Now, I'm not saying there's still not room for improvement. Like the fact they still don't let you move the icons around where you want them is really
I'm with you.
annoying.
It's stupid. Yeah.
But the improvements that iOS did bring with this new iteration is very, very refreshing to see. Like the focus mode, which I know you use, right? The new
Yeah, all the time. Like my phone is pretty much constantly in a focus mode.
So yeah, this year, in my personal opinion, like if I had to give like a phone of the year award, it goes to the 13s.
I mean, the funny thing is Apple definitely also had the most room for improvement with this 60 hertz panel on last year's model and like all the areas they could have improved upon. But yeah,
Dude,
I
even
think,
if it was still a 60 hertz panel, I still would have gave the award to them just for the incredible battery life enhancement. Like the
yeah,
battery life is truly something that can't go understated, and it's just a very well, it's safe, but it's a well refined phone, and it's very well rounded. It's not going to do anything that you didn't expect from an Apple product, and it finally unshackled itself a little bit with iOS 15.
yeah. So that's kind of the news I think in the phone department. I'm excited for next year. Are you picking up any of the new ones this year? Are you waiting for next year? Like, what's your?
I want to get a 13 Pro Max. I want to
Yeah.
get a 13 Pro Max real bad, but got to wait a little bit. First, MacBook Pro has to happen, then 13 Pro Max. Oh, I actually decided to buy a pair of the AirPods.
Oh, nice. Actually,
Third,
I have a pair
third
coming
gen.
tomorrow, so I'll be excited to test them out. My problem, I don't know if you've had this. I got the pros. They don't fit in my ears. I think my ears, like the ear canal is really small or
I didn't
something.
get the Pros. I got the third generation
Yeah, yeah.
ones.
Well, I'm saying I tried the pros. They didn't
Oh,
fit. The regular ones somewhat fit, but are uncomfortable after like 30 minutes. And so I'm excited to try these. And nice. Yeah.
yeah.
Overall, yeah.
I got the regular ones just because I don't like when things literally go in my ears
Yeah, it's
anymore.
like you feel plugged up. Like this shouldn't be natural.
But the way they sit, I mean, they don't actually fit that great. Like I'm not gonna go running or anything with them. But the reason I did it was because of some of the stuff that you were talking about, and with me having a MacBook and me having an iPhone, I was like, you know what?
Dude, I think you'll enjoy them, but we'll have to wait and see. Get the Dennis spicy take served up in
I
when are
use
they
Best
coming?
tomorrow. I bought them off of Best Buy using the cash rewards that I got,
Oh, nice.
the 6% cash rewards from my Best Buy card. So I just redeemed the points for like $100 certificate and paid the difference.
Yeah. Oh, that's well played. That is well played.
But
One
oh,
last thing I want to sneak in here from my 5G speed test video that I've been working on. Finally doing an S20 versus S21 speed test as well. Like when I say I went out and did speed test, Dennis, like I brought 9 phones with me. I was like, please don't take this backpack.
was the Xfinity one with you?
Yeah, I did have Xfinity. I did that on millimeter wave, and it was amazing. So, but anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is the S20. Like that phone still has exceptional cellular performance. I would almost say picking one of those up gently used could be like the value pick of the year right now.
Well, I want to ask a question since you did this testing, and then we can go change gears to the real topic I want to talk about. Did you go past the 20 gigabyte cap yet with Xfinity Mobile?
Oh man, I did, but I also didn't. Here's the thing, Dennis. I learned when you're connected to millimeter wave on Xfinity Mobile, it does not count against your 20 gigabyte high speed data cap. So I got to maybe like 16 to 18 gigs of usage, was like, oh, I'll go out, do this millimeter wave test and see what happens. I used 80 gigabytes, literally 80 gigabytes doing these 4 gigabit per second speed tests. Come back home, I'm still getting full speed data.
So
And I'm
that
like,
that
yeah,
answers the question then. So the throttle doesn't impact millimeter wave connectivity.
doesn't impact millimeter wave connectivity. You get HD streaming on millimeter wave. And this means hopefully really good news. When Verizon rolls out its
C
C
band.
band, you can expect that it won't count against your high speed data allotment as well.
I have a more important question that we didn't test, and I doubt you thought of it, but have you tested out hotspot on the Xfinity line?
I have tested out hotspot. Wait, what
So
do you mean by hotspot? Because I've been testing out connecting to Xfinity mobile hotspots.
no, I'm talking about turning the phone into a hotspot.
Haven't tested that yet.
Reason I asked that is because I know hotspots normally capped at, I want to say 600 kilobits per second, I believe.
Oh yeah, so on millimeter
But
wave.
I was curious to know if on millimeter wave that cap was unleashed and you could just rock it like a proper hotspot.
My guess is yes, but of course I gotta test it. I'll probably be heading back tomorrow or something.
I'm
The
causing Stetson to drive again.
Well, it's good. I honestly, with my car repair, I had to get it towed. It was $1,000, and so the way I file my taxes, I count all of the driving and it's business, like whatever mileage is business versus whatever mileage is personal is how I split the expenses. I've done a lot of personal driving this year, looking to ramp up on the business driving to help split that up. So I think it's good. And I think final note on Xfinity Mobile, I'm not sure what the situation is, if it's been applied specifically to my account or if this is a glitch in the system or whatever, but my line on the baseline $45 unlimited plan is getting priority data. I went to record a speed test side by side, Verizon, Xfinity Mobile, saying, hey, the unlimited plan on Xfinity Mobile is deprioritized. Here's what the difference is. And the tests were the same. Like the speeds were the same. I was like, that's not right. So I went in, I tested the QCI value, and I got QCI 8, which is the same as Verizon postpaid.
Well, we kind of knew that. Well, we could kind of
Normally,
infer that because of what Sneed told us, right? Where they're literally reselling business lines, basically, Xfinity Mobile.
well, they have the $20 add-on, which is HD streaming and premium data. So I was expecting this baseline plan to be deprioritized. I might try and check in with them about that because it definitely seems unusual. And our friend Chris over at Coverage Critic did test and get the deprioritized speeds for that plan. But yeah, either way, I mean, it's great for me. I'm not sure if it applies to everyone, and that's kind of the bigger question: is this available for all customers, or is this kind of a glitch on my end for whatever reason? But that's
Well,
it for cellular connectivity.
let us change gears. Let's talk about T-Mobile's leaked new gateway for their home internet.
Yes, this is so exciting. This is probably one of the highlights seeing this. Because what are we looking at here, Dennis? First of all, the first gateway that we've seen has been kind of a disaster. It's been resetting. It resets its settings every time it is unplugged or restarts. It's been having problems and connectivity issues for people. We had Tech Extremist on. He said he went through like 3 gateways. Sneed went through like 3 gateways. It's been a mess. So what are we looking at here for this rumored new gateway coming soon?
Well, it is looking like a total refresh, and there's a possibility that it won't be Nokia. Uh,
Ooh.
but basically, it's got a cube-like shape.
So is
With
this, were you looking at the same one?
mm-hmm.
Awesome. I'm liking this design.
Yeah, I like the design as well. It's got a cube-like shape, sort of reminds me of the Xfinity gateway that you have in your house.
Oh yeah, like an X5 gateway, absolutely.
But like more square with like less of like a tilt on the top, just a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
cube.
It's like a elongated GameCube. I don't know, or maybe it's a vertical Xbox that's scaled down.
Yeah, but it has the display on the front. We don't know too much about it other than like this major redesign, but the reason I wanted to talk about it is I think this is a godsend because I think the trash can was one of the core pillars of things that was holding back the T-Mobile internet. Like I think that was honestly something that really threw a monkey wrench into things, and I can't wait until this arrives and to see people test out the performance on it.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to this.
Oh wait, whoa, scroll down.
Yeah,
I think I mentioned in the article that they found Huawei called the
yeah.
Fi.
So the closest visual matching device is right now the Huawei 5G CPE Pro. And this could be, it's probably not going to be Huawei, right? Given what, what's going on with the US and sanctions and everything like that. But it
I
might be
mean,
similar. You do have 3 buttons on the front right now. It looks like you got sort of a select button in the middle. You got your arrow buttons. This is looking nice and probably, as you said, Dennis, much needed for that T-Mobile home internet experience.
I will just say, we're under a different administration, so it could be Huawei or maybe a subsidiary of that's not Huawei directly that sells to us, right? Like, there's still Chinese products making their way into the U.S., just not Huawei direct. So,
Who do you think the other manufacturers would be? Like, could this be
well,
Samsung?
there's
Could this be
Ericsson, there's
Ericsson?
Ericsson, so there's
Netgear?
no, it wouldn't be Netgear. So there's Ericsson, Nokia, and Samsung. They're the big like modem makers for wireless antennae. And then as far as like gateway manufacturers, there's Aris and Motorola. That would be prime contenders. I guess you could throw Netgear in there, but I'm putting that on a very low probability on the scale of things, just because Nokia tends to, or excuse me, Netgear tends to more so focus on like residential products. Like, let me rephrase that. Products that go to the consumer. They don't tend to end up winning bids by any of the large companies that I can think of in my mind for supplying equipment. Technicolor, though, would be another one that I was just thinking of. You probably never heard of them, but
Yeah,
Technicolor would be a possibility.
sure. That's interesting. I guess my bet from those would probably be Ericsson or yeah, I'm just not 100% sure. It does look like so this source is tmobilereport.com and it looks like this was shared to them through an email and it was an email that was sent to some T-Mobile stores that says display units may be arriving early and you should keep them in the back until ready to reveal. So it definitely sounds like this is something that's going to be happening pretty soon here. I would say either by the end of this year or early next year. Granted, T-Mobile probably wants to have this transition take place as quickly as possible, just given the challenges and problems they've been having with their current T-Mobile gateway. So,
Yeah, I don't know, but I say that's a good. I mean, unless you have anything you want to share more on this topic, I feel like that basically covers the gist of it for now based off info that we know. I want to move
yeah.
on to our more fun topic that might become a mini series depending on how people feel about it. So as you guys know, I'm spicy. I like to throw curveballs, and I was thinking we could play a little game of Devil's Advocate. I read your guys' comments. I know you guys have been a little bit upset with how harsh we've been, or specifically more so me, how harsh I've been on T-Mobile recently. So what I was thinking, Stetson, is I'm going to try to say good things and positive things about T-Mobile since I've been rather harsh on them. And you're going to be the one that's going to provide constructive criticism just to kind of flip the rules.
I like it. This is actually a good week to do this because I had a spicy video go live about T-Mobile, how they're lying about their essentials plan. And so I think this is good.
All right. Well, to kick it off, I'll say something good.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of go from there. And if we get tired of talking about T-Mobile, we can focus on a company that you love. So, all right, something good about T-Mobile. I have been very impressed recently with T-Mobile's N41 deployment in the majority of markets, with the exception of mine. I think it has been... Okay, I'm sorry. I have been... That's a bad one. Well, I can't lie. Darn it. I've been... Okay, how about this? I've been incredibly impressed at impressed by the pace at which T-Mobile has been doing upgrades recently.
Yeah.
Including in my market, because I am spotting more N41.
I will say, like, in my area, Longmont, T-Mobile, like, tripled their N41 coverage. Like, boom, boom, boom. They lit up, like, 3 more towers. It's been insane. You're
supposed to be the critique.
I will provide some harsh criticism. This stupid ultra capacity icon that they've added is complete garbage. It means absolutely nothing. I was driving around in Boulder, Colorado today, doing some errands. I was like speed testing on the way, as one does when you're driving along. And I was like, oh my God, ultra capacity T-Mobile is finally lighting up Boulder where there's way more people, way more congestion issues. You know how fast my speeds were, Dennis? Want to take a guess?
50 megabits per second.
Dennis, 50 megabit. Wow, that is generous. I was getting, I kid you not, three, not 300, 3 megabits per second with an ultra capacity 5G icon in my status bar. That's like barely band 66. Maybe it was some band 2. It was a disaster. I could not be more appalled at having that logo in my status bar and getting such abysmal speeds. I was hopeful that this icon would mean, oh man, like I'm getting great speeds and performance. I finally can figure out where all of these N41 sites are. No, it's a complete lie. It means absolutely nothing. The only thing you can do is run a speed test or use Samsung's service mode so you can actually figure out what's going on.
Well, on the topic of N41 ultra capacity, on T-Mobile's coverage map, they recently updated it, and I saw that my small little town of like 600 people was apparently covered in N41. So if I ever go home, I can't wait to see what that looks like. But circling away from that, one thing that I appreciate about T-Mobile, they are doing well, is they have the best plans. Some of the best plans. Well, some of the best plans in general in comparison to the competition. With the
I'm
only
surprised to hear you saying this after hyping up AT&T Unlimited Elite for so long.
remember, I'm playing the good guy.
He's playing the good guy.
They have some of the best plans in general, with the exception of AT&T Unlimited Elite being a toss-up. They have some of the best plans in general, especially if we're talking about the fact that all of their plans do have access to all the flavors of 5G, even if you're on Essentials.
I give them that. I will say, if you're talking about 5G, and I think we are here, it sounded like T-Mobile updated their coverage map. I will say it's still horribly inaccurate to some degree. They have literally all of Longmont blanketed in N41. It's true they lit up more sites, but there is no way this is accurate in various cities and blocks. But that's besides the point. You are correct. All flavors of T-Mobile's plans do come with full access to 5G, whatever it is they offer or don't offer in your area. My biggest gripe, Dennis, comes with their premium data offering. Okay, I did a whole video about this. I was so upset. T-Mobile Essentials. On the website, it says it comes with 50 gigabytes of premium data. And that is just straight up not true. The plan is deprioritized, and then after 50 gigabytes, it's deprioritized even further. So I'm hugely disappointed that T-Mobile is doing that. Like, you can literally get the same speeds and performance. Mint Mobile, Metro by T-Mobile, you get better speeds and performance on T-Mobile prepaid. So I'm disappointed they're lying about their plans, even if they are good value.
Okay. As you were talking, I thought of one more thing that I can say that's been positive.
Yeah.
Let me just think for a second, a little longer.
I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this.
Yeah. Okay. T-Mobile has been running a very interesting promo with their iPhone for Life promotion if you're an iPhone lover. And it's sort of like almost a throwback to what Sprint was doing, but slightly better in a certain way, right? I think it's $800 guaranteed for every trade-in after every 2 years. So pretty cool promotion.
All right, I hear you on that, Dennis, but hear me out. You know how much money T-Mobile will give you right now, trading credit they'll give you right now for an iPhone 12 Pro, iPhone 11 Pro?
Is it $1,000?
It's $1,000. Guess what, Dennis? That is more money than the $800 trading credit that T-Mobile is promising. So if you're a pro user, you're essentially getting ripped off. And guess what? My best guess is that in 2 years, T-Mobile will have almost identical trade-in promotions as they have now because competition is getting fierce. They literally just launched a $1,000 switcher deal for consumers who switch from AT&T or Verizon to T-Mobile. So if you're a baseline iPhone user, sure. But if you're a pro iPhone user, I would say it's a no-go. It's full stop, no-go.
Yeah, this is a fair point. However, as devil's advocate, I will say a lot of times those really aggressive promos require trade-ins or excuse me, not trade-ins, port-ins or adding a line. Whereas with this, it's something guaranteed for you as an existing customer, which is kind of reassuring, especially if you're in the Apple camp.
Yeah.
You know? I thought of one more positive thing I can say. Taxes and fees being included is not something that we should go to underestimate. And let's also not forget as well some of the really favorable discounts for people over the age of 55.
Yep, they do get discounts on that. I don't know. AT&T signature program is just so good though. Like 25% off your whole bill. Like that's pretty great. And you can get that. Yeah.
I also just want to say one thing real quick. I'm going to stop being good guy to T-Mobile. When it comes to their discounts, they are the biggest pain in the ass to deal with when it comes to those. I'm just going to.
Oh, really? Like getting them?
No, like, well, getting them, but the verification. T-Mobile requires like yearly verification of like your military status or whatever the thing is that like you need. Dude, AT&T hasn't asked my dad for like verification of his discount literally in 30 years. But
Well, he got it when he signed up. He must still have it. I don't know.
but okay, that was a fun little experiment. It went shorter than I was expecting. I want to do it now with something that you love, and I'll give you the choice. We can either do Mint Mobile or we can do Visible. Take your pick.
Ooh.
Because I know you love both of them more than me.
Yeah.
Well, Mint we both love, but I can definitely critique them here pretty easily.
Yeah. Well, so wait, I'm gonna have to critique them though. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're gonna be the yeah, because you love them. So you'll be the one that critiques them, and I'll be the one that is in support for them.
Yeah, let's do Mint. I feel like I've always been so positive in Mint. This is gonna be hard, but let's start out. Number one thing is.
Oh, wait a minute. Actually,
or do you want to do? Do you want to do Visible?
I picked T-Mobile because I dislike them, so I had to support them.
Okay, so I should pick something that I like everything.
Well, you need to pick a company that you're not favorable on, and then you got to support them and love them, and then I got to be the one that critiques.
Yeah. Oh, Zach, hey, shout out to Zach. Thanks for popping in. Apparently, Sneed or Los Mobile are live right now, but it's okay because Zach, this is going to be scheduled, so you'll be in the scheduled one when this episode goes live for the public. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you to all of our Patreon supporters who are tuning in and watching this live or getting early access to this. And you can get early access if you want to join yourself at the Patreon link up there.
You know what? It's fine. We'll do the swap-averse. You're gonna have to critique Mint Mobile, and I'll just support them.
Okay. Oh, and Shame's here. Wow. All right. So let's critique. I think number one thing for me has got to be the surprise pricing. And I know this is an issue because I received so many comments on my videos like, hey, Stetson, this is an absolute lie. It's not $15 a month. It's like $45 or it's, let me get the actual pricing so I'm not making stuff up. Mintmobile.com. Hey, Stetson, it's not $15 a month. It is $45 or it's $75. And I'm like, guys, the pricing is with 3 months. It goes up if you don't switch plans. And I try and clearly articulate that the pricing increases if you stick with a 3-month renewal. You have to go with that 12-month option. So I think biggest critique is that you have to go with the 12 months to get the best pricing and the price goes up. I think there's got to be a better way to handle that. Give customers like advance notice, like a clear one of two options. Like 3 months, your price goes up. 12 months, your price stays the same, something like that. It's just, it's confusing people, and the evidence is in the comments.
Interesting. To defend them on that point, though, I think Mint does do a decent job already of articulating that their annual plans when you go on their website.
I honestly don't know what people are talking about. You're so right.
When you go on their website, they say 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months, and they clearly do shade. They're like, hey, this is like a 3-month trial. So I feel like, are you still here, Stats? Oh, okay. You like froze when you were getting out of your seat. That was weird. Anyway, yeah. So I feel like they already do a decent job, but I can give in a little bit. Maybe they could do a little bit of a better job of somehow clarifying that. What's another critique that you have though of Mint?
Yeah, another critique I have of Mint, it's definitely got to be their phones. I've heard, first of all, they were using Quality One wireless to provide the devices. And that was disaster. You can go on Reddit. It's been basically logged as a historic disaster. Quality One Wireless was having issues shipping out devices, doing any kind of trade-in deals, and people were feeling upset about that. Good news, Mint is now supplying their own phones. I think this is just for iPhones right now. So that's a little bit better. My big gripe, Dennis, is with their Affirm financing. Okay, so Mint says you can finance a phone. I'll add this so you can actually take a gander. You can finance a phone, get the iPhone 13 Pro Max for as low as $50 a month. This is with their financing. But when you use Affirm, Dennis, you actually have to pay interest. I have a pretty good credit score, like 800 good, and I still was getting charged an extra $100 on the phone to finance through Affirm. So I really wish that... I don't know, there's a better financing option for people who are interested in that. Or
that is unfortunate, but in Mint Mobile's defense, you could always just get it straight through Apple, unlocked, and do the financing through Apple. So that's a thing. And I will also just say on the defense of Mint when it comes to phones, is when you do buy a phone through them, you do get 6 months of free service. In fact, Samsung Galaxy A12 is actually one of the ones that I've actually been seeing in store with that deal. So that's something that you don't typically see from any carriers, them including 6 months of service up front when you buy the phone. I mean, if you're doing something like an A12, I mean, you're basically paying just for the service roughly, because the A12 is pretty affordable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're definitely right. But I guess I wish they had better financing options. The full price deal option, which is what I would recommend most people get, is still outstanding.
Let's see if you pull out one more critique, and then we can move on from Mint.
Let's see. What's another critique I have from Mint? I guess one critique I have is you can't downgrade your plan, right? So on Xfinity Mobile, I'm reviewing them now. You can switch plans pretty much whenever you want. If you haven't gone over the data bucket allotment, you can switch down to that data bucket. On Mint Mobile, once you commit to a plan, you can only increase your data allotment. You can only upgrade. So if you start, I mean, ideally, the strategy would be to like start at 4 gigs, use that for as long as possible, upgrade to 10 gigs if you need to, use that for as long as possible, upgrade again, etc. So I wish there was an option if you realize you don't need that much data to maybe downgrade or something like that, and get, even if you just got bill credits, I think that'd be really helpful. So that's one more critique I have for Mint.
Yes, but if I remember correctly, in Mint's defense, weren't they the ones that actually send you an email whenever you're not using unlimited so that you can make that downgrade choice?
Yeah, it's so true. That's the unlimited or whatever they call it. Oh my God, Dennis, I think there's an N there. I don't even know if I can zoom in enough to see that. It says, where is it? Oh, here we go. We're on the mobile version. Yeah, I think it's still there. I honestly don't think I can get bigger than this.
You don't need to get that big. Oh,
there it is.
Oh.
It's still there.
Oh, wow.
Unlimited. Anyway, yeah, they do email you your usage. I think that's really great. What if there was a plan that was like truly unlimited, and then after your first month or whatever, they emailed you your usage and was like, hey, switch to this plan? How cool would that be?
That would be pretty cool. I'm just surprised of one thing that you didn't, or two things that you didn't touch on.
Yeah.
One is that I'm surprised you didn't mention the fact that there's not a non-annual option in case you were someone that was just trying to like figure out where you lay.
Yeah, I mean, you can do 3 months at a time, but the price is higher, so I don't really know.
Right. But also more importantly, I'm surprised you didn't touch on the unlimited fact that it's not an unlimited plan at all. Like,
yeah, I guess you're right. That is probably like the biggest critique I think most people would have, is that it is just a 35 gig plan, which is, I mean, it says that right here. I think the problem is just like the industry as a whole. And we've kind of touched on this. Like, I think carriers and MVNOs are between a rock and a hard place, where if they don't advertise it as unlimited, some people won't sign up because they want to feel like it's unlimited. And then if they do advertise it as unlimited, they get criticized for it. But the truth is, it meets the needs of like 90% of people, and it's half the cost. It's half the cost of Essentials and has the same performance. So,
also, one more really important thing that I feel like is definitely not something you would have thought of: Mint Mobile's lack of security.
Yeah, they definitely need to improve. I think they're working on it. I'm not 100% sure what the status is.
Right now, there are only 2 factors in the form of SMS texting, which SMS texting is inherently flawed and also has a host of other problems. One of the biggest ones with how Mint Mobile's implemented it is that there's no recovery 2-factor codes. So if you lose your phone, you're basically screwed and locked out of your account.
Yeah,
like there's no like most of the times when you set up 2-factor for like Facebook or whatever, you get like 4 to 6 or whatever emergency codes as a backup.
Yeah, you can use this code. You save them somewhere. If something happens, you're good to go.
Mint Mobile apparently isn't doing that, which is kind of a big issue, especially since it's SMS based. So like if your phone breaks or whatever, you're just locked out. Like that's it. And I saw this on Reddit. I really hope that they put a bigger focus on A, having those recovery codes in place, but B, getting away from SMS 2-factor authentication in favor of one-time push notification style, where it's actually on a time base, like say through Google Authenticator, for example.
Google Authenticator. I use Authy. I love Authy.
I will just say real quick, Stetson, not to get too distracted, but your camera resolution has been acting a little rough.
Okay. On my end, it looks good, but it says my connection is unstable. I don't know, dude. I'm plugged in. I'm plugged in.
I just wanted to touch on that real quick, just in case.
Maybe it's my router. Is this is this a sign that I need to get a new Wi-Fi router, which I've been talking about for the past 6 months and haven't executed on?
I mean, both me and I want to say Bearded Dragon gave you decent recommendations.
Yeah, this is true. It's true.
But all right, that was Mint. We still haven't hit the hour mark, which is where I want to be at. So let's do maybe one more. Let's do Visible, because I feel like Visible is gonna be.
Dude,
really
I feel so bad for them right now. Like, I still have to make a video on it, but I think the big elephant in the room is they were 100% hacked, and
we did
not a
not
good luck.
we did not touch on that too much. So do you want to give a quick rundown on that? Because I know in the comments someone was upset that we haven't really highlighted
Yeah,
those.
I know it deserves more attention. For some of these, I like to wait a little bit to see how the story pans out and get all the details before blowing it up. But the basic premise, from my understanding, is that there were certain accounts on Visible that were compromised. An unauthorized individual or group of individuals got the login credentials for Visible accounts, logged in, changed the billing or shipping address, and change the email associated with the account. So they got all, like, if the actual user went to reset the password, the unauthorized individual would get that email. And basically, these Visible customers were locked out of their account. And the unauthorized individuals placed purchases using the Visible customer payment method on file for basically new iPhones. Like, they bought the new iPhone 13, new iPhone 13 Pro Max from Visible, shipped them to the new address, and that was it. Like, in the grand scheme of things, this is bad because it was awful for those individuals. And I think the two larger problems, I get one silver lining, is there were no SIM swap attacks. That's really scary. That is what happened with Mint. I would almost say that's worse, because once you get that two-factor authentication code, like, that's green light into your bank account, that's green light into literally anything else you use your phone for. I didn't have my personal number for like 4 days, and I realized how much was just tied to that, and that kind of freaked me out. So I would say it's a little bit better than that, but some individuals were basically out like up to $1,000. And the real red flag is how Visible handled it from their support side. Some support reps weren't acknowledging the hack. They didn't know about it. There was no resolution. People were just delayed and pushed back. They couldn't get through.
Sounds familiar to someone I know.
It was rough.
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile, our friends over there. We just praised them so much.
Hey, that was for that segment, okay?
Yeah, I know.
But listen. As far as the Visible hack goes, here's my stance on it. Definitely bad, because it happened. Definitely not the worst that could happen either. Like, at least it wasn't social security numbers being leaked, right? Which wouldn't have happened.
So nothing was leaked. It was just accounts were hacked and people placed unauthorized purchases.
Right, which it's a pain in the butt, but that's a pretty easy fix. You cancel the card. Usually card companies will typically refund that money for the most part, unless you had like a debit card on file where it went through your actual bank, in which case it's more of a pain in the butt. But
yeah,
it doesn't seem like it like, I can't remember the amount of people, but like as far as like portion of people too, it was.
I mean, it's so hard to tell. Even with the Mint Mobile hack, like, it's hard to tell like what fraction of their customer base was impacted. It seemed like it was enough to cause delays in the support, and I feel like Visible support generally is
not good.
It's not good, so it would have delays anyway, and this probably exacerbated that problem. So I think, the biggest three things for me: number one, Visible needs to improve their app, their customer service and support, and their account security. And we're seeing that pretty much with all carriers and MVNOs right now.
MVNOs
especially. Number two, you should be using privacy.com for things like this. I switched my personal Visible account to privacy.com because this hack freaked me out. And this is basically, you generate a digital credit card. You can set a monthly limit on it. So if my Visible account were hacked, the limit is literally $40 a month. Like, you could not purchase more than that. And then number three, I completely forgot number three. So that's my segment to say, hey, Dennis definitely has another idea here. Do you have another idea here?
I mean, my big thing is just the reason why this is bad is how it was handled by the company. In the same way that my biggest problem is how T-Mobile handled it, right? Like, hacks happen. They're gonna happen.
It's starting to get like a not if but when situation, which is not good. But
hacks are inevitable. No system is foolproof. I don't expect that per se. What I do expect, though, from a company are these three things. One is that when they happen, they actually have a game plan in place so that way consumers can be informed and make the proactive actions necessary to protect themselves. Secondarily, is that when it comes to sensitive information, especially if it's information from the postpay carriers like storing social security numbers and that kind of thing, that information needs to be handled with extra like responsibility, i.e., it needs to be encrypted. If it's a customer that canceled their account, that should be purged from the system. You don't need to have their social on file for 7 years, 8
Looking at
years.
you, T-Mobile.
Like there's no reason for that. And then three, that kind of sensitive information shouldn't even be accessible to lower tier reps. Like that should be like reserved to like auditors and like I'm talking like core sys admin kind of like level of security before you can start seeing socials. Like I'll just, without getting super nerdy, I'll just say this: companies that actually deal with finance and this kind of thing, when they put your social in, they typically don't store it in like a way that's visible to most people. It's usually stored as like dots, and it's like it's encrypted, and it's stored on like a localized thing, not even connected to the internet. Typically, it's typically on like a localized network that can only be contacted on the localized network, not on just some random server that can be accessed over the World Wide Web. So there's precautions that are in place. The playbook is there. I'm not saying it's impenetrable, but you can definitely do risk mitigation and reduce the damages if someone does get into your system, right? Visible definitely didn't do that, and I don't necessarily, it doesn't surprise me per se because of who they are,
Yeah.
like, and like what it is. Like
It's
they
a
are the,
budget phone service, like that's the appealing factor to them. And I
but it's
think you
not an
can,
excuse.
it's
It's
not an
not an,
excuse. Like you can still have good customer service and support at a lower price. I feel like we see that with US Mobile. I feel like we see that with Mint Mobile. And I really hope Visible can take this as a learning experience. First, make it right to the individuals who were impacted by this. Like no one should be charged for unauthorized purchases like this. And then second, improve their customer service and support, improve their response time, improve their functionality and reliability of their application, and just add that extra layer of security.
maybe also implement some form of AI to detect when these types of changes are happening. I mean, you can predict when someone is kind of hacked to a certain sense. I mean, look at your card company, right? Like I don't know about you, Stetson, but have you ever made a purchase on like your Discover card, for example, and they like blocked the charge because it was like out of the ordinary for you?
Yeah, sometimes it's annoying. Like if I'm traveling, they're like, "This card shouldn't have traveled this distance," and I'm like, "Yes, it's me. It's okay." But sometimes you're right. It's totally legitimate and it saves you a huge hassle and a headache.
Right. I mean, it's annoying, but I mean, it's an easy fix. You go into the app and click on the thing that's my purchase, right? It's
Yeah.
real simple mechanism, but like maybe when someone's changing their billing address, you maybe send them a text message saying like, "Hey, are you
Yeah,
actually?"
dude, that is probably the biggest red flag of this whole thing is the billing address was changed. There was like no confirmation. The only confirmation was being sent to people's emails, which of course were changed by that time. Just yeah. So I feel bad for Visible. I really hope they can take their service and continue to improve it. I'm still looking forward to their iPad plan that's hopefully coming soon. And like the bottom line is I'm still going to recommend them because they're cheap and they get the job done. You just got to keep this in mind kind of
All
going
right.
forward.
All right. So let's go on to the part now where you have to critique them and I have to be nice to them. Or yeah. So you critique them, I'll be nice to them since I'm usually the one that doesn't recommend.
Critique. I mean, this is easy. The app. I mean, it's kind of slow. It doesn't always work. It seems glitchy. And I think when people were trying to reset their account passwords, it was broken. Like it just wasn't working. So I think the underlying structure and reliability for some of their services, I feel could use some major improvements.
All right, my positive is that they have the simplest and best pricing structure I've seen from any carrier in the sense that I love their group discount, how like it works where you don't have to be on like one big family plan, but everybody gets like billed individually. I think that's a beautiful concept that I think more people should implement so that way you don't need third parties like say circled in to do something like that. I mean, $25 unlimited everything, that is a steal for a
It's a
price,
steal. It's a
especially on the
steal.
Verizon network.
My second gripe then would be actually for families. If you have a legitimate family, it is a pain in the butt to set up because you need individual logins and accounts for each member of your family. And then you have to go in and you can enter the same billing information for all of them. And this is where I would recommend, again, using those privacy.com cards. But yeah, it's just annoying to have to go and do that. Like it would be really nice to say, hey, I'm a family of four. I'm switching to Visible. Give me my own account. And maybe that account as a whole could then join another party or something like that. So I think it could be a little bit better for families.
Okay. I got another positive in their favor. Truly unlimited hotspot. Capped at 5 megabits per second, but
Yeah,
truly
but
unlimited.
truly unlimited. Downside is they currently do not officially support tablets or hotspot devices. So this really is a phone only service. And I know I would love to use like my new cellular iPad mini with them, or another cellular tablet with them, or even like a cellular laptop at some point in the future. So I really wish that was open as an option.
Okay. Third positive is that out of the Verizon MVNOs, they're one of the very few that actually supports millimeter wave as well as Wi-Fi calling, to the best of my knowledge.
It's true. It's true. They actually have great feature support. Millimeter wave. Con though, 5G speeds are capped at 200 megabits per second.
All right. I feel like that was pretty good. I want to just circle on to one thing you kept touching on, which was privacy.com.
Yeah.
And this is more of a question to you more than anything. Privacy.com, can you actually use a credit card? Because like I think it has to go through like a debit card, right? Like, or your actual bank account.
Yeah.
Right?
So the way privacy.com works is it's a service that gives you virtual credit cards. You pay for those credit cards, I think either using a debit card, I think like linking a PayPal account or linking your bank account directly.
That's what I
If you
thought.
choose to, you could become a member of privacy.com, and this is their upsell. The service is completely free for like, you can make like, I don't know, 10 cards a month or something like that. If you pay for it, it's like $10 a month. You can create unlimited cards per month, and you actually get cash back on your privacy.com credit cards. So that's kind of their upsell and their pitch. But
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And I mean, I use it for certain things, like say LinkedIn, for example, when I wanted to buy the LinkedIn Pro for when I was looking for a job.
Any of those freaking annoying auto renew subscriptions is gold for that. Gold.
Oh yeah. But I don't use it for my T-Mobile bill, ironically enough, because I want to get the card rewards from my actual credit card.
I totally hear you. Oh man, this is a bonus segment. I heard from Circled In that the biggest advantage to using Circled In as an account holder is you can get an account with like 5+ lines, pay the full bill yourself with your credit card, get the cash back, and then Circled In reimburses you for all of the other lines in your account. So I was talking with Dan. There are some people who have gotten like free trips to Hawaii because they've banked so many reward points, which is awesome. Oh, can I do one last quick segment here?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna try this. Circled In just updated their website, and I just wanted to give it a quick shout out here because I liked it. And they also changed their URL from joincircledin.com to just circledin.com. Let's actually move us off to the side here, Dennis, so we can see the whole thing. But yeah, this is it. It's a new outline. You can see your circles, Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T, and I think they're accepting a lot more. Like there's a bunch more on the platform now. You can filter the different circles, and yeah, you can join. So I'm really happy with the redesign. I think they're trying to accelerate growth on the platform. You can add names. This one is called Almond Jelly, which has been verified. So I'm going to join this, and you can kind of see what's included. And yeah, I really like it. So I'm happy that they've got an update. This is definitely for some people, not for others. But there you go.
Not for me, unfortunately, but
not for Dennis, but just wanted to throw it out there for anyone who might be interested in that kind of solution.
But I think we had a heck of a show. I just want to quickly thank everybody that was part of the hashtag live crew. And by that, I mean my Patreon members. If you're part of the hashtag rewatch gang, make sure you're giving it a thumbs up and comment to let us know what you thought of the little devil's advocate mini segment, as well as any other
if you want to vote on maybe what carriers or companies we include in that segment, let us know. Maybe we can do a poll like the week before or something like that, and we'll pick like what companies we use for that segment.
And for anybody that is rewatching and made it all the way to the end, highly recommend becoming a member of the Patreon. That way you can be a part of the live crew, so we could see you in the comments, and you can be a part of the Discord, where there's a lot of great interactions that happen between us and you guys, as well as you guys just talking amongst each other. Like, our Discord is absolutely popping. Probably one of the best perks, in my opinion. And Stetson, there's one more thing I want to unveil. It wasn't intentional, but I just remembered it. Do you remember the text message I sent you? in regards to something in regards to Carlos.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, what an exciting announcement.
Yeah. So guys, I have really exciting news for the Patreon members. Carlos was kind enough to reach out to us, and we were able to work out a deal. Patreon members who subscribe to the $5 tier and the $20 tier are going to be able to get discounts off of Los Mobile. We have a discount code that we're going to figure out a way how to get to you guys. The logistics, we're going to figure that out here shortly. But going forward, members that are part of the $5 tier will get a $5 discount off of Los Mobile. And members that are on the $20 tier will get a $10 discount off of Los Mobile's cell phone service. Wanted to share that with you guys. I'm really, really excited and happy about it. And definitely recommend, if you guys aren't doing Los Mobile, they're a good option if you enjoy that premium access with the AT&T access. And Los did just work out a great deal with T-Mobile as well for a truly unlimited plan from T-Mobile. So
Look, we got Shane very excited about it. Shane, we hope you're able to take advantage of this. We're going to figure out final logistics soon and get you guys those discounts.
But with that, guys, as always, I'm going to say peace.
Peace. That's the show. Thank you for watching this episode. Tune into the next one. I'm Stetson.
And I'm Dennis.
And we're going to say peace again.
And peace.